Peace and Yah bless. Yah is the strong one. The strong one is Yah. He's the tree of life. He's the fountain of living waters. He's the spirit and creator of all things that live and breathe. On this particular discourse, we're going to talk more about the branch. The branch of Yeshai, or what they would call Jesse, the father of King David. Okay? In this book of remembrance, what they call the Mashiach, or the Messiah, okay, has another name called the branch, okay, within the book of Zechariah, chapter 3 and chapter 6. Alrighty? Now, many people think of this normally, we know up to this point that people don't have all the understanding that they need about the book of remembrance, okay? So yes, there's a lot of backs and forths, and we can't believe it, and we don't believe it, and this and that. But at the end of the day, the proof stands as it is in front of your face. Okay? And that's where a lot of people are going wrong at. The proof stands before your face. It can't be superfluous. It can't be super fantastic, man. So you guys want a super fantastic dream. Horses don't have wings. Men don't fly on horses. Have you ever seen it? Have you ever seen it? Has anyone ever witnessed such a thing? No. Okay? I told you, all those stories in the New Testament are just that. Mythology, stories. No different from, Greek pantheon mythology, right? Pegasus and all that. That's where these ideas come from that people don't know. And then they're put into tradition, and then are passed down to people's children. And it goes generation after generation after generation after generation of people being misguided, being misinformed about the Mashiach. And people have been misinformed about the Mashiach for many years, right? Thousands of years, because they believe these stories that are told to them in these houses of what we call idolatry, often called churches or mosques or synagogues, etc. People believe these things because they are traditions that are passed down. Until you come into illuminating light, okay? Until you come into illuminating light, you're never going to be able to understand all these things thoroughly. In other words, you're going to have to research, you're going to have to study, and you're going to have to pray. And you have to ask God for the answers. The same way I had to ask God for the answers. He's not going to just reveal it to you. He will reveal it to you when you ask. We have to ask our Father to receive things, okay? All right, our Heavenly Father. And really, truly the only Father of us all. Okay? Now, I'm not going to go through all of the verses of the Mashiach because I've been over them lots of times. Okay? But the key to the Mashiach, or what they call the Messiah, is that the job is going to be a dual crown job. Okay? Dual crown meaning going back to the book of Genesis, dealing with Melchizedek. Okay? Dealing with Melchizedek and that order of Melchizedek. Because Melchizedek had a merged crown. He was king and priest at the time of Abraham. For all those who know the book, for all those who read Genesis, then you would know that, right? Okay? As I told you, we're moving more backwards than we're moving forward. Okay? We're going to move forward into some things, but some things we're traveling definitely backwards, okay? Okay? That's why in the end of time, when the third temple is erected, that's why the prince that's mentioned in the book of Ezekiel, that's why he's mentioned that way. And that's why he's mentioned that way also in Psalms 110. That's why he's mentioned that way in Isaiah 11, Isaiah 9. Okay? That's why he's mentioned that way in Ezekiel 37. Okay? 34. That's why it's mentioned that way also inside of Zechariah chapter 6. He's a priest who sits on his throne. So his priestly duties are really more important than sometimes the governmental duties. because he manages the overall priesthood that will be established again inside of the third temple. You see, it is my job to establish again, okay, the priesthood inside of the third temple and what they're going to do and how they're going to carry it out and how they're going to carry out their jobs and the different shifts that they work and all those things, okay? And how the communication is going to, proceed back and forth in between me and whoever the priest on duty is, which will be from the line of Zadok. For all those who know what the line of Zadok is, I realize that many people watching these videos don't understand any of these words, but they got to go research, they got to go pray, they got to go study, okay, to find these things out. So let's read what's in front of us right here from Zechariah chapter 6, verses 9 through 15. Behold, the man whose name is the branch, okay, and not literally the branch. That's a figurative thing said there, stemming all the way back to Jesse, because Jesse is obviously the tree, okay, the family tree from where David comes from, all right? So he's a branch from that tree. So that's why they call it the branch, okay? So behold, the man whose name is the branch, for he shall branch out from his place, and he shall build the temple unto Yah. It is he, right, who shall bear royal honor, okay? Remember that. It is he who shall bear royal honor and shall sit and rule on his throne. And there shall be a priest on his throne. See there? All right? Royal honor. He rules on his throne in the government, but is also a priest upon that throne after the order of Melchizedek that you read in Psalms 110. That tells you that, okay? All right? That's who this mysterious person is that you see over inside of the book of Zechariah. And we'll go there shortly. All right? All right. Now, the prince has many perks because he's the prince. Naturally, that's what everybody wants to be it. But unfortunately, you can't just want this job or want to be this person. You have to be born this person. It can't be given to any other person, regardless of what people are hearing, regardless of what they have you going through. It can't just be given to you. It can only be given to the true seed of Jesse, okay? Coming from that line of David, King Solomon, Hezekiah, on and on and on, all the Judaic kings, right? Okay? But this is to give you an explanation of what his job titles are and what he's basically in charge of, the whole entire nation. Okay? Yes, he'll have a queen, okay, that you read about in Psalms 45. Go read there. That's the royal wedding scene is set right there in Psalms 45. Especially when you get to the last verse where it talks about whenever he leaves the earth, that his sons after him, they will rule after him. Okay? All right. So he doesn't have sons now. But when he has them, they will rule after him. Okay? So that's that. So, along with all these perks that the prince has, let's go to Ezekiel chapter 46. Okay? Now, I'm going to read just a little bit of it. And the prince shall enter by the way of the porch that is on the gate outside, and shall stand by the post of the gate. And the priest, right, the normal priest, okay, the priest shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offerings, and he shall worship at the threshold of the gate. Then he shall go forth, but the gate shall not be closed until the evening. So the prince has a special corridor that he goes through on the Sabbath day, okay? A special corridor, all right? And that's what that's talking about right there. He has a special corridor that he goes through, a special door inside of the east gate that he doesn't pass through the east gate, but he has a special corridor that he goes through on the Sabbath day. And only the prince and the priest are allowed to move. And really just the prince by himself can move on the Sabbath day. Because as you can see, he's bringing offerings. So we know this is not Jesus, because if that was Jesus, that would be contrary to what they talk about in the New Testament, right? So this prince right here, we know is not Jesus, because he wouldn't be bringing any offerings. And you see right here, it says, he shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offerings, and he shall worship at the threshold of the gate, of the east gate, okay, on the inside of the inner court. So do you understand that? Okay. See, that makes a lot more sense now, right? Obviously, that couldn't be Jesus, because he would, according to the New Testament, he shouldn't be doing any of that, because he's the object of worship of Christendom, right? Isn't he the object of worship? Okay. Isn't that correct? All right. So I want you guys to keep that in mind about what you're seeing right here when it talks about him bringing those offerings, okay? That right there should tell you all you need to know. All right. Now, I've seen this crown built. Very interesting. I mean, it fits. You know what I mean? They could do a little better, but not bad. Okay. Very interesting. Now, the prince, he has his own land, okay? And many people know that, and we don't care that you know. Okay. It's good that you know if you do know. When the land is partitioned, the prince will have his own lands, okay? All right. As this shows you right here, it says the possession of the Nasi. That's just Hebrew, okay? The Nasi, right? The prince. That's what that means, Nasi, prince, right? He has possessions on each side of the holy oblation, whenever the holy oblation is established, okay? When it's established, 25,000 reeds by 25,000 reeds, then whatever's left over goes to the prince on both sides, okay? Now, why does that happen? Because people probably ask, well, why does he get that? Well, he gets that because back in the day, the kings used to come out and take the people's lands. Literally. They would come out and they see some land, they liked it, boom, they come out and take it. Take their lands, sometimes their wives too, right? Okay, verse number 17. So you see right here, okay? Listen, and it shall be the prince's part to give burnt offerings. Hear that? He's giving burnt offerings and meat offerings. With that's like flour, right? And drink offerings. That's wine, okay? In the feast of the new moons and the Sabbaths, right? And in all solemnities of the house of Israel, he shall prepare the sin offering. You hear that? The sin offering. Well, I thought so-called Jesus died for sins. Why would the prince be bringing offerings if someone died for everybody's sin, as we told you guys before, okay? Now, this is the prince's duty when he comes to the third temple. This is what you're reading, what it's outlining here in chapter 46 of Ezekiel, okay? But he prepares all these things, okay? Literal animals, okay? The sacrificial system will be restarted. And he's a part of making all that stuff happen. But on the Sabbaths, right? Okay, in all the solemnities like Passover and tabernacles, he brings certain amounts of offerings to the temple. And that's what it's telling you right here. That's his duty. Okay? Not including also the Sabbath day itself. He's the only person moving on the Sabbath day. Everybody else, you guys sit still. Okay? As you really should be doing today. Okay? So you see, he does all these things. Now, why is he doing this? These meat offerings and these burnt offerings and these peace offerings to make reconciliation for the house of Israel. You hear that? All you so-called NT people and all you Israelite groups talking about Yahweh Shai. No, man, Yahweh Shai didn't do a thing. Okay? Because the prince, because they probably think this is Jesus, can't be Jesus, right? Because he's bringing a sin offering. So-called Jesus died for sins, right? Wrong. This book tells you that. The prince, okay, who's just the seed of David, a regular man, he brings sin offerings for the sins of the people every Sabbath day and on all of the holidays or holy days, the high holy days, okay? He brings burnt offerings and peace offerings to make reconciliation for the house of Israel. That's why he's the high priest or the highest of priests. Because, see, that's the high. If you go look in The sons of Aaron, that's their job back in the Torah, right? The main high priest, Aaron, wasn't that his job? To make reconciliation for the house of Israel? Well, that's the prince's job now. That's given to him. That's why he's also a priest upon his throne, not just a governor. He governs the nation, but is also a priest. So he has a duty of making reconciliation for the house of Israel. So Jesus thrown totally out right there. Okay? You see the sin offering, the meat offering, the burnt offering, the peace offerings. If sin were taken away, then there'll be no need to bring a sin offering. Okay? Go read Jeremiah 31:31 about the new everlasting covenant. Okay? Yah forgives everybody's sins, and everybody gets a brand new slate when we get back to Israel. Okay? All right? There's always going to be sin in the world. Okay? That's why this whole sacrificial system is started back up again. Now, if Jesus so-called died for sins, there'd be no need to bring any sacrifices whatsoever, because so-called that was taken away at the cross. Joel Osteen. Okay? So you guys got this whole thing wrong. All right? The prince brings these offerings. Okay? When? On the new moons, the first of the month. On the Sabbath and in all solemnities. Solemnities meaning all the different feasts. The Passover, unleavened bread, etc., etc. Feast of Tabernacles, the last great day. All the feasts, right? Of the house of Israel. This is talk about the future right here. Okay? Why is he bringing it? To make reconciliation for the house of Israel. See there? All right, you hear me? You better go start reading, man. Y'all better go start researching. These people lied to y'all, man, about a great many things concerning what the Messiah and who it is. Now, we showed you guys in the book of Deuteronomy 28 how the kingly line is brought over here into North America. Okay? Hidden. As Isaiah, I think 41 tells you, hidden. The Most High hides the Messiah for a long time. He's not revealed for a long time until it gets to the times of the end, where the book of Daniel says, and knowledge shall be increased. Well, now your knowledge has been increased, because you can see right here, the prince has to make reconciliation. So he's doing the job of the high priest. Okay. Even though he's not from the line of Aaron. Okay. You hear me? Even though he's not from the line of Aaron, he's making reconciliation for the house of Israel by bringing these sacrifices, in particular the sin offering. Meaning what? There's no sins taken away at the cross. All that stuff is just stuff people believe. All right? Now, I want you to go do your own research. I'm not here to tell you guys everything, okay? I'm here to tell you most things. I'm here to direct you to this book where you can go read it yourself and get your own understanding, okay? All right. All right. He makes reconciliation for the entire house of Israel and all those who dwell with us in the land of Israel when we go home. Okay? That's why he's a priest on the throne. And that's why he gets so many different perks, like his own land. Okay? All right. Let's go to verse number 16 of chapter 46 of Ezekiel. Thus saith Yah, if the prince give a gift unto any of his sons, right? If he gives a gift, right, of like property or land, right? The inheritance thereof shall be his sons, right? It shall be their possession by inheritance. They're receiving it by inheritance. So once Yah gives the prince his inheritance, then his sons get it after him by inheritance. Okay? Very important that you guys start getting some knowledge, wisdom, and understanding about how this is going to go. Let's get a better look at it. See, it says the land of the chieftain on both sides. Now, it's not going to be this big, but this is a little over-exaggerated because that oblation is 25,000 reeds by 25,000 reeds, which equals about 50 miles by 50 miles across, right? So it'll be more like a mile or so, okay, as far as width, but the length will be 50 miles on each side. So it's still a pretty good inheritance. You know what I mean? But he's the prince. Okay? Now, but if the prince give a gift of his inheritance to one of his servants, so he's going to have servants, right? Okay? Then it shall be his to the year of liberty, or what they call Jubilee. Okay? And after the Jubilee's over, then it returns back to the prince. Okay? But his inheritance shall be his sons for them. Okay? And as I told you guys earlier, moreover, here at verse 18, the prince shall not take the people's inheritance by oppression, to thrust them out of their possession, but he shall give his sons' inheritance out of his own possession, that my people be not scattered, every man from his possession. Because you see how the Israelis do today. The Israelis, they go over there and knock down the Palestinians' houses. Man, you're not supposed to do that stuff, man. That's oppression. You're not supposed to be knocking down their houses, no matter what they've done. Okay? All right? In the future, that's not going to happen. Okay? We can't thrust the people off of their possession once it's given to them. All right? That's why the prince has his own land, so he doesn't, try to exercise his power to take land from other people. Okay? And the priests will have their own land too, as you can see right here, in these two areas of the Holy Oblation. And then there's a third temple, and naturally there's the brand new city. And then on the sides, there's going to be all these, basically all kinds of gardens and things like that for the people who work for the city. Okay? All kind of pastures and stuff, okay? All right, I'm not going to get that deep into this. I want you guys just to see that and get some understanding, because I'm sure people are asking, well, why does he get his own land and this and that and whoop-de-wop? Well, Yah set that up, okay, for a purpose, because the kings used to do that. Go and take all of people's lands by oppression. Okay? Now, okay, so Joshua, or some people say Yahshua, because they think when they refer to Jesus, they'll call him Yeshua. Okay? Or Joshua. It's the same name. Okay? They'll call him Yeshua, or they'll call him Joshua. Okay? Joshua or Yeshua, the high priest, and the seed of David are the same. They are the same person. Okay? This chapter 3 is just explaining what his persona is supposed to be like as a priest, as a high priest, who manages the other Levitical priesthoods. Now, the sons of Zadok, who are Levites, right? Because there's two factions of Levites. The sons of Zadok, those guys, they run the inner court, and they deal with the sacrifices, okay? Whenever the prince comes to the third temple, he brings sacrifices for reconciliation, but he cannot put them on, okay? So the high priest line is still there, okay, to do their job. I'm talking about those of the Zadokites, right? Inside of the inner court. They still take those and they put them on to the altar of sacrifice for whatever style of sacrifice it is, okay? All right? Because people read this Joshua chapter 3 and they think there's going to be just one overall high priest and then there's the seed of David. There's no, it's intertwined into one job. The sons of Zadok only do the job of the high priest. Okay? They're all, basically the sons of Zadok, they're all doing the same job. Let's say it like that. Okay? Matter of fact, if you go back to the Torah, you'll look and you'll see where Aaron and all his sons, they were all doing the same job, even though Aaron was the high priest, right? Okay? Well, it'll be similar to that. There'll be one person who's on duty who will, be the overall overseer of the altar of sacrifice in the third temple. But there'll be other Zadokites there with him who run that inner court. And then the rest of the Levites who went astray from Yah, for all who know the history, right? They'll run the outer courts. They're basically just, going to be porters and clean up and do different things to help facilitate what the Zadokites are doing inside the inner sanctum, okay? All right? But they can never enter into that, or at least they can't put any sacrifices on the altar sacrifice, okay? Anyway, I'm not going to get totally into that thing. It's too deep to get into on these cameras, okay? Now, and you notice here that Joshua is given, it talks about his new garments. Well, his new garments are given to him because naturally, there are people, saying things about him or will say things about his past or something he's done or whatever the case is. That's what it's talking about right here. We're talking about Satan, the adversary, right? Notice it says adversary, right? See? Satan or Satan is not a person with long horns in a red suit. Okay? Satan only means to be adversary or adversarial to God. That's all it means. It's an adversarial spirit to God. That's all that means. There ain't nothing folklorish about it, like people make it out to be. Okay? So that's what it's talking about here. Joshua the high priest is being like on trial right here. And he's being, accused by all these people from his past saying this or saying that. They're making up things, about him to, try to figure out some way why he shouldn't be in this post. But what does the Most High do? He takes all of his filthy garments off, which means what? All of his sins that he once had or once did, those filthy garments are taken off of him. Okay? See, the Most High commands it. Take away the filthy garments from him. Okay? And unto him he said, behold, I have caused thine sin to pass from thee, and I will clothe thee with a change of raiment. You hear that? So no matter what he did in the past or what he used to do, or what maybe bad decision making he did, doesn't matter. The Most High is going to take all that away. That's what this is symbolically talking about. Okay? You see, the Most High says, behold, I have caused thine iniquity to pass away from you. Okay? That's what it's talking about right here. Okay? Then the Most High says what? And I said, let them set a fair mitre upon his head. Okay? So they set a fair mitre upon his head. That's talking about priesthood, right? And clothe him with garments. And the angel of the Lord stood by and watched this take place. Okay? So that's why he keeps the courts and the house of Yah, because he's the manager of all the priests. He's the overall head of all the priests. He manages it. Okay? He manages the whole situation. But the priest of Zadok and the other Levites, the regular ones, they carry out all the temple duties. Because you notice the prince comes to the temple with the sacrifices, but what did you notice? He didn't put any sacrifices on. Why? Because he's not a Zodokite. He's not a Levite. He's after the order of Melchizedek. He's still a priest, but after another priesthood order. Back all the way to Genesis, right? With Abraham, for all those who understand that, okay? All right? All right. So that's chapter 3 that many people still don't understand. Okay? There's not a high priest in the seat of David anymore. It doesn't work like that. Okay. Right here. Here at Zechariah chapter 6. Very simple. Then take silver and gold and make crowns and set them upon the head of Yahshua, right? The son of Jehozadak, the high priest, right? And speak unto him, saying, thus speaketh Yah of hosts, saying, behold, the man whose name is the branch. He shall grow up out of his place, and he shall build the temple of Yah, right? Even he shall build the temple of Yah, right? And he shall bear the glory for doing it, and shall sit and rule upon his throne. And he shall be a priest upon his throne, okay? And the council of peace shall be between them both, between both offices of priest and king. Okay? All right? It's not two people. It's not two separate people. It's just one person. He manages the whole entire priesthood situation, the whole entire third temple. He manages that whole situation. He puts it together just like his father did, just like David did. Didn't David install the priest or put the instructions out for them to be installed? Okay? And all of their duties that they're supposed to do before Solomon took it over and did all of it. Okay? David basically drew up the blueprint for all that to happen. Okay? So that's what the deal is. Because many people don't understand this still. They think they're going to be a high priest. Okay? There will be a high priest line of the Zodokites, but their only duties are to work the inner court of the third temple. Then the regular Levites, they work the outer court. Okay. All right. For their transgressing against Yah, going away from Yah. Okay. They were supposed to do that for all those who understand biblical history. Okay. All right. So here's how it looks. The highest priest, Prince Joshua David. You can call him that, okay? Now, just because your name is Yahshua doesn't make you Prince David. You guys need to come on with all that. But anyway, he can call himself whatever title he wants, okay? Because the name that Yah gave to me is zechariah, okay? Or Zechariah. Zechariah means Yah remembers. What does Yah remember? All of the covenants. Okay, all of the covenants from Abraham all the way to the, everything that's happened that is a covenant, from the priesthoods to everything. Okay, all right. He's after the order of Melchizedek. His offices are merged together, of high priest and prince. These two are merged together. Okay, then you have the sons of the Zadokites. Okay, who come from the line of Aaron. They run the inner court of the third temple. Okay. Then you have the sons of Levi that come from Moses, and they run the outer court. Okay? All right? Now, if that's too complicated for you, well, you got to go study. You got to go research. You got to go pray, man. You're not going to understand what's going on in the future. Like I said, man, we're going to be using all kind of technology and holograms and all kind of cool things that they have available at this particular time inside the third temple. Okay? Because there'll be a lot of people visiting the temple every day. Okay? All right? So this thing has to be put on very well. Okay? And last but not least, Zechariah chapter 9, verse number 9. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, thy king cometh. Okay? The people think this is Jesus, right? As you can see that it's not, right? You're bringing sin offerings again. Come on now. Anyway. Behold, thy king cometh unto thee. He is just and having salvation. Meaning what? Yah has to save him from death. Literally. Okay? Okay, he's just and having salvation. He's lowly, which means he's humble. He's been humbled by Yah, right? Humbled by God for his position. And he's riding upon a donkey, right? Upon the colt, the foal of a donkey. Okay, he rides. That's what he comes in on. That's his triumph. I call the triumphant ride that he makes up to the Temple Mount, probably to the Western Wall. Okay, and there'll be a ceremony about everything that's happening, and then that'll be it. And then we'll get to work on the nation after this happens. I mean, it's going to be a very great day. That's why it says, rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout. That's supposed to shout. That's supposed to be shouting. Yeah, the Mashiach is here. He's finally here. All right. The correct one. Okay. Notice it says he is just. In other words, just means he's qualified by Yah to do what he's doing. Having salvation. He is. Don't say she is. It says he is. Okay? All right, so let's get that straight. And naturally, what is his dominion? His dominion is what? Now, number one, he's going to speak peace to the heathens, right? Okay? And his dominion shall be from sea even to sea, and from the river even to the ends of the earth. That's going to be his reach. Okay? That's his reach that he will have on this earth. Okay? So the peoples will have to, listen to the seed of David, who was a black man. I mean, I'm sure people don't want to do that, but, they're not going to have much of a choice. All right? And back here in Psalms 72 tells you the same exact thing. He should have dominion also from sea to sea and from the river to the ends of the earth. Same thing that's reiterated in Zechariah 9, right? Okay? And it tells you what? Yea, all kings shall fall down before him, and all nations shall serve him. Okay? That means they have to bow. That's what it means. All right? All right. Thank you guys for listening. That is Joshua the high priest, the seed of David. They are synonymous. They're the same person. Thank you guys for listening. Peace. Y'all bless.